Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Geek Authority Show. I'm Lorenzo Marchessi. This is the show where I get to interview actors, writers, producers, directors, all kinds of fun people who do all kinds of fun things in front of and behind the scenes. Today, I have the fortune of interviewing Mr. Devin Caldarone. He's an actor, he's a director, he's a producer. He does his own video shorts, as you will see during this episode. But Devin, welcome so much, and thank you for doing this.
Of course, man. Thank you for having me. I'm thrilled to be doing this with you. And COVID has made it hard to see a lot of people, and to get to see an old face that I love, man. It's been great.
Call me an old face. No, just
Old
kidding.
friend.
Anyway, no, I'm old. I'll take it.
That's not what I said.
Lots of experience. Let's just put it that way. So yeah, let's talk a little bit, since you brought it up right away. The COVID situation. How was it in February? And how is it now in the spring, almost in the winter of 2020?
Yeah. I know it's done exactly that. It's messed up our sense of time, and we don't know where we're at anymore. I can't even. The whole last year's been a blur for a lot of reasons. But COVID has been rough, man, especially for the acting and stuff where sets are huge. You're in each other's face. You're physical. I think when it hit, I was working up for a special effects studio, working on a renovation as part of my side gigs, as I do a lot. And we were doing some fine renovation work, and just overnight, all that dried up. The guy who owned the house we were working at, he owns Ironhead Studios, which is a special effects shop here in the San Fernando Valley that does all the major Marvel, DC stuff, all their costuming. The owner is Jose Fernandez, great guy. Got his start doing the Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman suit when he was like in his 20s, and so I worked for him.
Very cool.
And and he's great. He's really just a really wonderful artist, really creative and stuff. And he had this house and brought me on to help renovate it. And then overnight, the shop closed. So even someone like him was contemplating the future. Something that has been around forever, and it impacted me. And so I kind of work stopped, which was fine. Luckily I stay busy enough all the time to not worry about the droughts anymore. When you get into the hustling actor life, you have to prepare for these rainy days, which can be hard, but also at times, if you're prepared, not so bad. But I had no idea we were going into what we were going into. So I wasn't worried at first. It wasn't until the auditions dried up, all the projects came to a grinding halt, and everything literally just paused. And I found myself sitting at home, that I realized, oh, man, this is going to be tough. This is going to be tough. This is going to be a whole new world. And it was probably 3 months in, during the first month of quarantine, I was so bored. I got my camera out, started filming little things. I put one of them on my YouTube channel. I think it was, forget what I called it, Life or Thirst or something like that. I was just having fun because I had to keep busy. The actor in me was just like, I need to perform. And the writer in me was like, we need to make something. And director and the producer like, So it was fun to do that. But yeah, it was tough, man.
So first and foremost, you consider yourself actor? Is that it?
That has changed, yeah. But my training is acting. I'm an actor by nature, by heart, and by past. But it has evolved over the last few years to be filmmaker.
So writing, producing, directing, mainly yourself, right?
Yeah, I do all of that. It really started a few years ago when I picked up my camera for the first time, bought myself a Canon 7D, and realized that, like I said, not too long ago, you as an actor in this city in this day and age, especially now, you cannot sit and wait for the phone to ring. It will not ring. They have no reason to come to you. As brilliant as you are, and as we are as actors and artists, we're all brilliant, but this city's filled with it. And so I began, thankfully, and I think that this was a blessing, several years ago, creating my own content and starting to create my own journey as a filmmaker. And that has carried into this entire season. Yeah.
Wow. So in terms of the acting side, because I met you when you were on stage at the Whitefire. I've seen you in several productions, from a cowboy to a evil villain to yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you note behind me, he actually did you know who, and let me tell you how hysterical he was. I'm assuming this one over here is your headshot, right?
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
my
Okay.
headshot.
Anyway, when I saw him at the theater, I mean, I tell you, this is one of these guys who literally does. I think you do comedy so well. I mean,
Thank you.
you've got a niche for timing and that whole what is required for comic actors. Um, so it's amazing how has the process been? Have you had agents audition you, or have you had to send in Zoom interviews or recordings? How does that work?
Well, it's been tough. I actually I've had several Zoom auditions now. And I picked up my first agent at Whitefire because of the comedy and stuff, which, is great. And then since then, I went on to become under a different agency, Jaco Flaherty for the Dangerfield talent and commercial. And that has been a wonderful ride. I'm sure we'll get into that later. Yeah, I've had several Zoom auditions. And I'll tell you, it's interesting. Comedy, there's always a translation error between comedy on stage and comedy on film. When you're comedy on film, you have to use things like framing, right, to make things funny, right?
Hey.
Yeah. And you got to do that. You've got to know where your frame is and stuff for visual comedy on film. Normally, the disconnect was you go into a room, you think you're on stage because you're just being watched in a room, and so you make mistakes because there's a disconnect in the translation between what they're seeing in their frame right here, right, versus what you feel because you're still feeling like you're on stage, and it could be a trap. And so I think what this has really done is all these Zoom interviews have actually helped actors be more aware of that. I know it certainly has for me. I did a joint audition a few weeks ago for Del Taco for a commercial, a comedy commercial, for my buddy Mike Dye, who you also know from the theater. And I just came over to the house. I was like, come on over. I got the stuff. Let's shoot this sucker. And we did it. Of course, we did it outside first. And the guy's like, can you go inside? You got Wi-Fi? And I was like, oh man, we gotta go inside. We gotta go inside. Let's get inside. We go. We set up, talking to everybody. Everybody shut up. Everybody shut up. We're gonna do an audition. So we set up, and we got the thing, and we were and being able to see, like I can see myself right now. I see my framing live seconds, and it gave me, because I am an experienced actor, I can do my job while considering things like this, and having this in my mind's eye versus, this freaking me out like it would have maybe 10 or 15 years ago being new. And I've been like, oh my gosh, having this available actually helped us get callbacks and crack this guy up, and bring the comedy, because we have all this other experience that we then brought to that in moment. So it is hard to adapt, but if you're used to it, especially in this lifestyle, it's not as hard as you'd think. And I think it's actually been very helpful.
Right.
He definitely got called back. He got so close because the audition was for him, unfortunately, not for me. But I was his partner, and he actually ended up telling me.
But you made a connection.
What's that?
You made a connection.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the thing. The guy loved a lot of my choices, and my buddy Mike was like, "Hey man, I'm gonna steal all your choices." I was like, "Go ahead, whatever. Go ahead, all you, buddy."
Hey, it's funny you say that, because I've heard people like Michael Caine, the actor, and a couple others, in terms of the acting part, where stage acting, you're free. It's a visual. It's much more visual. It's you can blah and all that. Whereas when you're doing the camera, you really gotta tone it down and keep it framed and act for the lens versus your theater or your audience kind of situation. And he's always said you can tell a good theater actor and a good television actor, and it's hard to find one that can make the transition, or the not doing the oh yes and keeping it real. So that's cool that you say that. So if someone's a young actor, I'm curious, what do you recommend to do, especially now?
Yeah, now that's tough, man. I think this hit at the right time of being in the age where an iPhone's 4K, so you can go around with your quarantine buddies and make some shorts. And I think, honestly, no matter what you're doing or where you're at in your career, the best thing you can do is go out there and fail and get that out of the way. Just get out there, make some stuff that nobody likes, and learn from that.
Okay. Now, are you as an actor, are you a big fan of things like TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, all of that, or no?
TikTok, man. TikTok.
I gotta admit, I like watching the videos on TikTok, and
sometimes
I've dabbled.
Hey, you and Jackie would get along famously. My girlfriend, you guys would love it. I personally feel a majority of TikTok is underage belly dancing and fake acting. Unfortunately to me, but there's some really good content buried in there. So there is stuff. But I'll say, as I know, little baby Yoda. Oh,
Two with Baby Yoda.
well, baby Yoda can do whatever he wants.
Okay.
TikTok has been a great platform for this reason, is it has reminded us that art is very important to everybody, and that no matter what, and I think what TikTok is I believe, I project, will have an influence on, is our investment back in the arts. And I think that what it has identified is a primal desire of expression through everybody. Because what that platform has is every walk of life, every Joe, every Jane, getting on there and doing lip syncs or doing dialogue syncs or what have you, to express themselves and be funny and be entertaining and be this or be that or dance or make songs or be creative. And I think that has been missing. And so that I would credit the explosion of TikTok and the content quality variations with the desire and the need deep down to do that, and the suppression of it in our curriculum and in our society of regular people being artistic and being allowed to do that and feeling like they should do that and they can do that. And
Yeah,
so I do say it's been a wonderful thing for that, and I love to see that. However, it's kind of like a countrywide acting 101 class, and it's kind of painful at times, but at the same time.
Well, now wait a minute. You got to start somewhere. So
Absolutely.
I think the other side of it is it's a creative outlet for people to
Oh, yeah.
basically express themselves. And according to psychological studies, apparently people have used this venue as a way of releasing this fact that they're locked in a room, for months now, and they can't touch their grandparents. They can't, see their friends or can't go see a movie. So,
Absolutely. And I think that's my point, is I think that it has brought back to the surface that need, that we have kind of said is not a need. And it's only about the STEM, science, math, English, all that stuff. Like, that's the only important stuff that we should learn about in school. And that's just not true. It's only a facet of the diamond of the human being. We've got to make sure that all the sides of these human diamonds are being shown and shined on and polished and cleaned, and it's all important.
Even in 2020, the arts are still the first thing cut in any budget.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
But it's not like, there's a ton of venues out there now. So on the side of, so did we really get a suggestion? You mean just be creative in terms of new actors, new people wanting to get out there? Should they look for agents? Should they, send out their resumes? I mean, what do you do in 2020?
I think that's really the $1 million question. And I think, unfortunately, I just lost my theatrical representation. It closed its doors. It couldn't keep afloat during this. So my commercial agency is still there, and I'm still getting those auditions. But right now, I'm in the hunt too. And I'm asking myself, what do I do to get a new one when no agents are looking right now? I think the supply and demand is where you start on something like this. And I think what it is you're supplying is what will be demanded. I think
Right. And the business side of it is putting yourself out there. I've seen a lot of people like myself start YouTube channels and have launched their personalities out there. And I think for you, especially if you keep, for me, my personal opinion, if you keyed up on the comedy that you do and the characterizations you do and the voices you do, I mean, people, let me tell you, I never laughed. There was one show, remember the Western one? I forget which one it was. At the White Fair, you come out with the whole Western draw and it was the one remember with the glass that broke one night?
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
That was bad eggs.
I never laughed so hard. I had tears. I was coughing. I swear you almost killed me. I swear.
That makes me feel amazing. That was the first stage comedy I'd ever written.
Wrote that too.
Yeah, that was the first one I'd ever written. Yeah, and I was very nervous about that. I remember you made me feel very good about it after the show, and I very, very much liked it. And that started a series of writings and stuff that continued on to this day. That was probably 4 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe. It's been a while.
I still remember it. And of course, I remember your video of Where is he? Right there.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Okay.
Yeah.
So you had sent me some images. Let's go over them real quick. Um, now I believe you said this one was a headshot, right?
Yeah, that's my clone. I made him look a lot better than me in real life. Yeah.
Really? No beard? You kind of got that 5 o'clock shadow thing going.
That's my look, baby.
And your hair is that long, right? Still?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably longer now. My hair is quarantine length. I have not cut my hair. My beard I've trimmed, but not my hair. Hard to find a good barber.
Do you like this headshot? I mean, do you is this the one that gets you the work?
Oh yeah, that gets me my good guy calls, or my representative calls, like for commercials and stuff. That's a face they like.
Okay.
It seems
Now,
professional. Yeah, there's that. That is my niece, Charlie. And this was an opportunity to that's actually a new camera I bought, and so she was doing her photos, and this was an opportunity to get out there and be a part of her life and give her some lasting memories with my new camera. It's a
okay,
6K photo camera.
she looks gorgeous. She's very, very cute. I swear to God, when I first glanced at this picture, I thought, "Oh my God, is this a machine gun victim?" And then I realized it was her dress. I'm like, "What did you do to this girl?" So that's who's taking the picture of you taking the picture.
Jackie, my girl.
Oh, okay.
She's on my old camera, taking the picture of me on my new camera. It's almost like a mirror and a mirror and a mirror and a mirror.
Yeah. Is this Griffith Park or something? Someplace?
I'm sorry?
Is this Griffith Park?
No, this is actually out in San Bernardino, where my family's from. And so, this was a great way, because of everything these past years. It was great to come together and get together with them and share this and be a part of the memories. This was at a really great place. I forget exactly where this was, but it was off the I think the 210 or the 15 freeway somewhere. Beautiful place. I had never known about it.
Okay, what's going on here, Mr. Knee Pad? I see one knee pad. What's going on?
That is a knee brace. I actually tore my ACL back in college playing, or high school playing football, and had to replace that sucker with a cadaver's tendon. But I know the gruesome details. But this is actually a special picture to me. So here's the story behind this guy. That's Brian Wallace. He's a writer, and that's obviously me. And if you remember, we did the air guitar scene, Balls Alive, at the Wi-Fi. That's the title of it. So what's really special about this, and I'll go start to finish real quick on this. And this is, and I want to tell you this as a way to create your own opportunities. And when you talk about young actors, this is something I would like to share about what you could do. So at the Whitefire, what we would do, we would grab a whole stack, maybe 2 feet tall, of scripts. I'm not kidding. You'd have a bag full of different scripts, and in there would be buried gems, and you have to read through them all and go through a lot of stinkers to get to the gold. And we got to this guy. He's a new writer. He hadn't written much. Since this, he's written a lot. And I'd like to say that I have a hand in that confidence of him, and I know how that feels. I found that script in the pile, and I quickly called my buddy Mike, who's in the theater with me, and another member, I think Scott Russell, and then and later David Chatham. And we went up there and we did this thing, and it killed. And we did the run at the theater, and it killed every night. And it started, people wanted to share, people wanted to do this. I mean, people really fell in love with this. And what it is, it's a scene about an air guitar band. I'm the leader, and we're having artistic differences about what instruments we should play and the tone of our music. And it's all just nonsense because, it's air guitar. You don't really have any control over any of that stuff. And so it's a hilarious competition. So then what happened was he entered he got selected to be in a competition. So we went to Warner Brothers Studios, which you see here, and over in Burbank, and we filmed it at a festival for short films, and we filmed the entire thing there. And this was his directorial debut. He submitted it. It didn't win, unfortunately, but it came very close. And then we went on to compete in an international live shorts festival, and Stella Adler's in Hollywood with this thing. And we took it down to Hollywood. We recast one of the roles to be Cody Duke. Cody Dukes, he used to be in the theater as well. He played, and so is Mike and I and Cody now. And Mike and I have been kind of the consistent players. And in a competition of all dramatic pieces, this thing, which is a silly comedy, came in third place and almost took the damn thing. Oh, sorry, pardon my language. Almost took the darn thing. Kids. I mean, the thing just grew legs. It started running on its own. It was nuts. And then, Brian Wallace was very gracious to appreciate all of our efforts in that. And just a year ago, he got it published along with several other plays and credited us as with ownership. The three of us original performers for, getting it out there and seen and giving it and starting him on this journey that he's been doing great with ever since. And so now we are considered royalty owners and original performers of this piece. I've never heard of a writer to do that for his original actors. I thought that was really, really nice of him.
Very
so
cool.
And so it's just the whole reason I love this story is it started as a play among many in a pile, and it has grown to become this massive, successfully internationally done piece that otherwise would have never happened. And that's, I think, the difference between being a seasoned actor and filmmaker, performer, stage guy, and someone new is you see opportunities to do stuff like this, and where otherwise it might have came and went and no one would have ever known.
Stayed in that pile and nobody read it.
Yeah, it would have stayed in that pile. And I believed in it and brought it down and loved it. And here we are, so.
Very cool. Who's this?
That's a rougher headshot. That's for my rougher roles, my non-commercial roles. Got the cigarette, got the you talking to me look.
Yeah, do you smoke? Are you a smoker?
I don't know what sounds better.
I don't know.
How about that? We'll say former.
Former? Okay. Why? Who would be upset if you were?
Everybody that cares about me.
Yeah, including me. No smoke.
I know. I'm former.
Uh-huh. They have fake cigarettes,
Yeah, exactly. And that's what that is. Yep.
Uh-huh. Wink, wink.
Uh-huh. Wink,
okay, there it is. There it is.
Balls alive.
Okay,
there it is. When we performed it for the first time at Whitefire, as you can see, Mike on the left there is a 90s grunge playing on a stand-up bass, which is ridiculous. There's me doing AC/DC playing the electric guitar, and then David Chatham from the Jimi Hendrix era playing his guitar. And it starts off with me and him fighting over who's lead guitarist, while Mike just wants to play the stand-up bass. And I suggest that he plays the air tambourine on the other side of me so that we're not competing.
Very cool. Nice costume choices. I do see the genres there.
Oh, yeah.
Although it looks like you're in boots. No.
I am in boots.
Yes.
We're both in boots. Yeah.
All right. Now, this one was a little, I don't know what you call it. Was it like a video insert during a series of shorts on stage? How do you call this?
I would just call it a digital short, no different than you see with SNL, when they have their live stuff and then they put in digital shorts, music videos, or little film things.
Right, but for the audience who doesn't know, we went to the theater and we saw like live actors on stage doing a skit, and then it went to a video like this, and then it's live actors and then a video, and I've never been in a venue like that before. So, but that was a very, very interesting shift. I think that's been the beginning of the adaptation at that theater, which I would like to talk more about in a minute. That was the first time the Whitefire ensemble had ever done something like that. And I kind of came to Brian. This was something I did after I picked up my camera and wanted to do. We actually shot that at the theater. We had you mentioned Brian Rasmussen.
Yeah, Brian Rasmussen,
who I interviewed in another show on the Geek Authority show. So check that out.
Great.
You didn't watch it?
He's a wonderful.
You didn't watch my show?
You have 100, Lorenzo. I'm in. It's COVID, but I have 100. But I will get through them. I really enjoy them. I think they're fascinating. But no, this was. I came to Brian and I said, "Look, man, I have this. I think it'd be great. I think we're in LA. I think theater's tough in this city, and I think bringing elements of hybrid theater like this would be really, really helpful. We're not the first theater in town or in the world to do this, but we certainly got our finger on that pulse pretty quick. And so I put this together on my own accord, and then just came to him with the product. I ran the songwriting, so I wrote this in 2 hours. Okay, this entire song and everything. I was so heated over what was going on. I just sat down.
For those who don't know, now who are you playing here?
I am playing the 45th president of the United States, Donald Trump. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not to get political. Yeah, exactly. I'm playing him. Obviously, I'm much younger than him, but we had a great makeup artist, and if you watch the full short, you can see some of the great practical effects and stuff. So yeah, and you know what's fascinating about this was at the beginning of it when things were different with the two parties because my family helped fund this, and they were all red at the time, and so they helped fund this, and that's I think you and I talked after this, and it was I know that's family, man. You know, you and I talked after this about it being a little nice, if you will, and not quite as it didn't have the bite that we would have liked. And I think that's sort of my I'm not out to ostracize and stuff, and I'm out to poke fun, but I'm not out to isolate or separate. And I think that was something I learned that with certain people, you can't ride that line. You have to pick a side sometimes. And this was an experiment. Like I said, I wrote this sucker in a couple hours, and then produced it, ran it by the theater group to see what they liked about it, and they gave me some notes, and then we shot the sucker.
All right, what do we got here? Oh my God,
Oh.
mad scientist. Um,
This is Dr. Terrible. And I will tell you how this entire how this entire thing came to be. And this is what I think as we talk about young actors or writers, not to not double guess themselves that when ideas strike, hit them while they're hot, and write them down and get them going. I think Jackie, my girlfriend, and I were joking around one night, and I sang that old song. You remember the old Toys R Us theme song? I don't want to grow up. I'm a Toys R Us kid.
Oh
Right?
yeah.
I think mine was I said I don't want to grow up. I'm a deformed kid. I put acid in my cereal and look what it did. Right, and that was something we sang in elementary school back when I was growing up. It was a silly little, and we don't sing that now. It was not very appropriate now, but we were joking, and I was singing it with sort of a lisp.
And after therapy, everything's okay now, right?
Yeah, everything's fine now. Yeah, after plastic surgery, I'm fine. And so and I sang it with sort of a lip. I sang it with the Dr. Terrible lip. I sang it for her. I did it like this, which is sort of like Hank Azaria meets Stewie Griffin, right? And so we just started playing, and all of a sudden it just started growing and snowballing into this evil doctor who's just wackadoodle, but sensitive, but trying to annoy you, but not trying to hurt you. And he just grew and grew, and then became Dr. Terrible, who's the king of nuisance. And
this was kind of a James Bond parody, right?
Yeah, that's John Bond, James Bond's half brother, who does low end recon, and his femme fatale, Angela. Actually, there were three moments. One was when John Bond attacks me and gets me down, and then we reveal to the audience that I've now trapped him in a Chinese finger trap, and he was just the biggest eye roll. The next was after many failed inventions of mine at this point in the show that are not working, and they're just laughing at me. Angela says, "I don't know why you're trying to be evil." And I say, "Hear me on," or she calls me sensitive, and I say, "Hear me on this." Loser says, "What?" And I turn away, and they go, "What?" Oh, the audience erupted. I said, "You loser says what?" It's silly jokes like that. The audience just ate up from this guy. And then at the end, after multiple defeats throughout the entire piece, I'm down on my knees. She's punched me. I'm crying. They're just totally done with me. They're walking off, and I tell them, "Wait. And they go, "Well, we don't want to miss the train." I'm like, "Just 1 second. All right, now go." And they missed the train, and that's my victory, is I made them miss the train. All 10 minutes added to that, And that's the beauty of this guy, is that my challenge was, how do I make the audience root for the bad guy, quote unquote, and feel bad for him and actually want him to do well? And I think we achieved a part of that by making people go, give him a win, give that guy a victory. You know what I mean? He deserves it. He's worked so hard for his victory, and you guys are just too good for him, and stuff like that.
Absolutely. And just for the audience, these are comedy shorts that were put together by various writers and various actors who do writing, or just new writers who present themselves. And this was all done at the Whitefire Theater in Sherman Oaks, California, for those in the Los Angeles area. For those of you watching outside of LA.
And as you can see from this picture and from the Balls Alive picture, we incorporate inference photos in the back. So we kind of tell you a little bit about the setting through digital projections and stuff. And it has been highly successful that way versus, a static background or a black background. It really helps give you that locational stuff.
It also, and from a production standpoint, it saves a lot of money on set building and props.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right, now this is the fun one. Now, You have been one of the fortunate few who have gotten these great commercials. This is a commercial shot. Tell us about the product. Tell us about the audition, and then what are we looking at?
So okay, so this is a big one. This was one of my biggest victories to date. This was a brand called Credelio. It is the medicine I believe is called Lotner or something like that, and it is a tick and flea chewable medicine for puppies, dogs, all sorts of things, all sorts of dogs and stuff. And it's something they eat, and it's sort of the new way of doing it versus the old smelly formula you put on their skin. They smell whatever. This is something they chew, and it helps prevent that. Very new on the market, and so you know, I play a mini tick and flea guy where I beat up ticks and fleas as the metaphorical, physical version of the medicine doing its job, right? Um, this was a very special opportunity. I got a call from my agent the day of, okay? The day of. My buddy, Mike, again, had gone out for this audition several weeks before. So they'd been auditioning. He didn't get it. And they had been auditioning for weeks at this point. And I get a call as a wild card to be brought in during the final rounds of the auditioning process. And they said, dress nice, wear a suit, what have you. So I go, I'm wearing a suit. And to be honest, the I was in rough shape because the night before, I think we had a celebration and I was feeling a little rough. I was almost considering, talking to my agent, like, can we reschedule or is it worth it? I was literally double guessing this. He goes, get down there. I was like, all right, I'm going. All right, you got me. I'm going. And so we go. Turns out they had been filtering through final choices of 80 people. 80 people had been competing for this over the last week. And I go in and I'm watching, and this is again another helpful hint. There's a trap you might fall into as a young actor or a new actor where you go into a room and you see people making their choices with their rehearsals on a piece, right? It was only a few lines. It was, hi, I'm Credelio, the tiny defender of dogs. I'm the tick and flea medicine that's gentle by design, right? Commercial lines, dialogue. And I could see in the room, everybody's doing it the same. Everybody's doing the same thing. They're all doing this pitchy commercial tone, which you get deceived by because you're playing a default choice that you've seen on TV. And so now you're playing it, which makes it 10 times stronger. They all look the same. They all kind of have a Silicon Valley glasses, curly hair type of feel to these actors in the room. And I'm very different than that. I'm like the wild card in the room. So I was like, okay, I'm going to make sure I'm not doing anything the same as all these guys. And it's not just to do it differently for different sake. It's just to be unique and individual within my essence, if you will. My essence is not quirky Silicon Valley. My essence is, a little grit, masculinity there, and stuff like that. You got the long hair, the beard. That was all mine. They didn't have that. So, yeah, I go in there. They love me. I did my lines. I come out. I basically can. Are you familiar with the guy Mayhem from those insurance commercials? Mayhem. He's got the Band-Aid and he's like, I'm Mayhem.
He speaks for the accident. He's the accident.
Yeah. He's the accident. Yeah. And then the Old Spice kind of tone where they come out, Old Spice, blah blah blah. So I basically just collided those two tones together for my own take, and went in and did that. The guy loves me, and it was an Australian production crew. And so the guy's like, oh, yeah, man, that was great. It's real great. Can you do it again? And like, can you add a little bit of this and a little bit of that? And I was like, all right, yeah. So do it 3 or 4 takes. He's like, that's great. That's great. So I leave. 20 minutes later, I get a call. Hey, dude, they want you to come back at 5 for another callback. So I was like, okay. So I left the city. I left Hollywood for a few hours, came back at 5. Now they've whittled it down to maybe 3 or 4 guys. And I was like, okay. And I go in there, I do it again. Now there's, instead of 2 or 3 people in the room, now there's 8 people in the room watching me, right? It's some more of the producers. It's the directors now in there, right? They love me, man. I'll do it like this. They give me little tweaks here and then do it like this, do it like that. And I do it. I leave. I get a call the next day. They want you to come back. They want you to meet the client. They're going to vet you. They're going to look you up. They're going to do a bunch of research. I get a call from the casting director. hey, no embarrassing photos of you at Burning Man running around naked, right? And I said, not yet. not to date. But no, none of that. And so they vetted me. They dug into my past. I mean, they wanted a squeaky clean representative. And luckily, I've been smart enough in my years and not too reckless, that I was able to fit that mold. And so I go back. Now there's 15 people in the room. And there's the client and the producers, all the clients, all the company, everything. Everybody's there. And it's 2 rows of people just watching me do my job. And that can be nerve wracking. A lot of people struggle with that. Actors struggle with falling back into old choices, or trying to please the crowd in the room and not sticking to their guns or being consistent. They struggle with taking notes when they get directions. Like, they were tweaking literally tiny things. The way I said "for," the way I said "tiny," the way I said this. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot to handle. And luckily, we pulled through. About a few days went by, and I was at a meeting for something else. And I get the call from my agent. You got it. You booked it. You're shooting. And so then, then it was time for the shoot. The shoot took probably, I think it took 2 days. One day was all photo shoots for stuff like this, or for certain photos of me flying through the air, like you have, and then like there you go, with the green screen flying through the air, kicking the butts of ticks and fleas. There were me standing with giant phones scrolling up so they could advertise their app. There were me laying down doing the Burt Reynolds bear rug pose in front of the medicine. I mean, 2,000 plus photos, and I'd never done a photo shoot of that size ever. And so that was new, and certainly the photographer was so great. He's looking down at me from 20 feet away while he's punched in on the lens to give me a really great effect. And he's just looking. He's like, "All right, we're gonna move on. There's nothing left in your eyes."
What does that mean?
And I went, "Yeah, I'm tapped. I don't know what else to tell you."
Really?
It was a lot. It was a lot.
Now they wardrobed you, they fitted you, the makeup, everything, right?
Yeah, so I went in for wardrobe. That took about 5 hours just to find that suit right there. That outfit, that turtleneck is about $1,000. Yeah,
Wow.
exactly. The suit and pants, I think, are Armani. Very expensive material and stuff. So that entire getup was very expensive. And I got to tell you, by the end of the shoot, it was all destroyed. I mean, they had me doing so much, and we were in a you can't have air conditioning and things running when you're shooting it. Just the sound will pick up. So we're in a hangar studio, and it's humid. I mean, there's 50 people in there, and running around doing stuff, and you know how that could get. You spend any amount of time in a tent by yourself, and it gets bad. And so, this was rough. And so it's funny. They fitted me and did all this. They didn't touch my hair. In fact, they came in while I was trimming, just right here. My makeup guy was trimming, and the producer comes running in and goes, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm just trimming." He's like, "All right, don't touch anything. Don't touch anything." I was like, I mean, this was just me not shaving for 2 weeks. I was like, oh boy. And then they're like, "We love it." I was like, okay, me too, whatever.
Now I know several people who saw the ads, who saw different versions of the ads, and apparently they're hysterical. They're funny and
Yeah, it ran a lot. That the main 30-second commercial ran for quite a few months all across the country, and I heard people sing it on different things: Country Channel, BET, just regular prime time, late night, early, all sorts of, out in the Caribbean. People saw it on a cruise ship. I mean, it's nuts. I was just like, what is the algorithm for this thing? It's everywhere. But I was pleased. But it ran a lot of little tiny adverts on Facebook. And I'll tell you, what's interesting is I had no idea that they had planned 7 or 8 little Instagram or Facebook social media spots. I didn't know that. They just came up to me at the end of our main shoot. They had several hours left, and they went, "Hey man, you nailed it. You knocked it out of the park there. Our writers over here have written, while you were working, 7 or 8 social media bits, and we want you to do them. So we're gonna get the teleprompter out, and you'll just go." I was like, "Look, guys, I've never worked with a teleprompter before. I'll tell you what, I have a mind trap. Just give me the lines. We'll do one at a time, and I'll just memorize it real quick." And they're like, "Well, can you do that?" I was like, "Trust me, I can do that." I'd rather do that. So we did it. So one after the other, man, we just started hammering. By the end of the day, my feet are blistered beyond control. In fact, there's one social media bit where I think I'm floating in a dog bowl in a little donut, a little floaty donut. There's a social media thing, and I'm floating around reading a book or whatever, and my feet are out. And that is because I could not stand another second of those boots being on my feet. I was in excruciating pain. I was like, guys, I got to take my shoes off. This is killing me. They're like, well, we just need one more. I was like, I get it. I'm in pain. I won't even be able to act if I can't get these things off. It's killing me. Yeah, so we got those off, and so my feet are showing, but they're kind of disguised because they were red, blistered, and so. But it added to the feel. I was like, here's what I'll do. I'll roll my cuffs up. Also, because of my bad knee, which we talked about, there was a scene in there which you remember. I kick a tick, right, and I kick them, and I go sliced it, right, and that was an ad lib line, and they loved it, so they kept it in. And there was a thing where I did it, and my knee popped out, and placed briefly. Yeah, and it happens here and there. It happened during Balls Live. It happens a lot. It's just part of the territory with having an injury like that. And I came down on it. I was like, explicitive, bad word, right? And they were rolling still. And no one did anything. They just stood there, just watching, just like this. And all of a sudden, I'm like, and they're like, is this part of it? Wait, are you acting? I was like, no, I'm in pain. They're like, oh shit, God, what's going on? And they just bum rush me. What do you need? What do you need? I was like, just give me some ibuprofen. Give me a second to just massage this sucker, and let's do it. He's like, let's forget it. We'll cut the kick. I was like, no. I will do the kick. Do not cut the kick. I will do it. And so I pulled myself up and sucked it up and did the kick. The last thing you want to do is be a burden, because you're injured. So I was like, in terms of like, you know what I mean? So I was like, let's do it.
And this was a 2-day shoot or 1 day?
I'm sorry?
2-day shoot or a 1-day shoot?
There's a 2-day shoot. So that was the second day. We did the photo shoot day, and then we did the film day.
Now, if it's not too personal, was it a lucrative deal? I mean, did you realize you were going to, is it a buyout or are you getting residuals?
No, it's non-union, so it was a buyout. And that's usually what it goes. Like if it's union, you get the royalties and stuff. I'm not union, and I'm not union on purpose right now. It's not that I couldn't become union if I want to. I'm just non-union specifically.
And by union, for those who know, it's the SAG-AFTRA. Is it for people who don't know or watching this? By union, you mean SAG or SAG-AFTRA? Because I believe SAG and AFTRA are merging now, right? They've merged. Have they? Yeah. Okay.
SAG-AFTRA. Yeah.
So, are you equity, by the way?
So yeah, no, I'm not equity. It's just in the town for that. For me, but yeah, the reason I have it is because it's so competitive now. The unions are so saturated that a newcomer with not a lot to show equity wise or union wise, probably not going to go in a lot, and you're not going to get to work on non-union unless you do, you go under an alias and stuff. And I just don't want to do that. I want to wait until I have a lot to show for my work.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to
jump. Yes, it was for a non-union gig. It was quite lucrative. I will say that. I was very, very. I'll tell you, when I heard what I was making at that time in my life, when things were really rough, I was actually having conversations with my dad at the time about, am I cut out for this? I'm not booking. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to change. And they came and saved my progression in the career. And, I went outside and just let out a big victory yell when I heard how much how much it was going to set me up for. And it was quite good.
Very cool. Well, what do we have here? It looks like your YouTube channel.
Yeah, it's the bare bones of it. It will definitely grow. That is my reel. Yeah. You want to watch that? Oh boy.
There he is.
There it is. This is a piece that I adapted for film. It was actually a stage play. And I added these inserts as ways to communicate the humor. Right here, these cutaways.
There we are.
The commercial. Hey. This is my first paid gig in LA. SAG project. I play a hitman. There's the kick, the infamous kick. That's part of that same project. Yep. This is one of my first film projects right out of college. Little swear words in there. This is a project for my buddies called Ranking Up, about the CrossFit stuff. This is a series I'm actually recently getting on board with during COVID, during the quarantine, called Boy Talk. And this one particular piece was called Tom Killer, Monster Killer, here to kill some monsters. It's the world's worst monster killer.
Hey, not based.
Whoa!
Yikes!
This is not kid friendly. And this I actually came very close to booking. This is an audition actually about a horror film circuit makeup artist who's very passionate about his job.
Homicide. Get me. You want to go to the theatrical circuit? You need me. I've got a face. All right? So keep your filthy paws off of my kill box. And don't let a person tell me anything about anything or blood. Okay? Fuck you!
And so this was brilliant because we did this at the White Fire, and it's an audition, but it came out so great. I just went ahead and threw it on my reel, and you can do that. Why not? And then at the end you have my contact and stuff there. And I would never discourage any actor, especially a young actor, from using footage like that to represent themselves or to pitch themselves. This was the beginning of that idea. I did this obviously quite a few years ago. This came before everything.
And I had accomplished more than anybody else had accomplished in their first time. I scored at under par at Mar-a-Lago. I signed a breakthrough deal with Chinaco, that's China and Mexico, just so you know, I have made them one. Okay, something Hillary Clinton probably couldn't do. So, okay. And I don't know, Russia, me, Devin Nunes, I don't know. All I know is let's make America Devin again. Okay, thank you.
That was the birth of all that, man. I was just at my mom's house having fun doing a different photo shoot, and I realized I put on the red tie, and I was like, "Look at."
And let me tell you, he does so many more voices. You've got these little cadences and voice things that you do. It's amazing. What I found interesting in your reel is you look quite different without your facial hair.
Yeah,
you look like a different guy.
Yeah, I mean, you could see the pictures behind you there, and then you could see what right here. I mean, I'm
even there. You got the 5 o'clock shadow, but there was one with you clean shaven. I'm like, wow. So
yeah. Oh, I think you're talking about when I had the pompadour and like I was there. Yeah. I actually had a goatee for that. I think there was a goatee. It wasn't clean, but you saw my clean cheeks.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, it's a whole different person, man. I know I've got these guys here. I've got all this, and I kind of hide it sometimes, but I think the versatility works. And honestly, this look has booked me the most. So it's what you cater to,
I think what's booked you the most is your talent. Seriously. I mean, here's what I'll say. I think your looks get you in the door, but I think what gets you the job is the fact that, you constantly surprise me in everything you do. And,
thank you.
It's just amazing how, I can't say it enough, how funny you are. You're just so darn funny. And people, let me tell you, he's such a nice guy. I mean, this is just a sampling of how nice this guy is. He's a very giving actor. I've seen him behind the scenes. I've seen him on stage with his fellow actors. He's great to work with and work against. And he's a great, I compare it to a tennis player. He's a pro tennis player that works with both amateurs and fellow pros, and it's seamless. So anyway, I'm the president of the Devin Caldarone fan club. So,
and that's the perfect person in the role.
Okay. So one thing you mentioned earlier is something about carpentry you wanted to talk about.
I think, again, as any new actor would learn, you have to diversify your income. You cannot wait for the phone. One of the skills I picked up from being very young is my dad owns a real estate company. Has multiple properties and rentals. And, from a young age, I've been part of keeping those things maintained and improved and all sorts of things. I think at the age of 7, I had a drill in my hand and, was assembling things and building things my entire weekends growing up. And there's a lot of great stories my dad would love to tell about how we butted heads. But all my good grown up stories have to do with building things and doing projects and, with building big structures at the house or wiring or whatever, plumbing, whatever, everything. And so since then, I've made a lot of my work income through contracting work and stuff like that. Even though I'm not a licensed contractor, I can still do work with them and do independent handyman or whatever, anything. You don't need to be licensed to get the work. It just helps with validation or certainly like homeowners association stuff. Anyway, I actually worked with a comedian named Ben Glebe. He was the host of Idiot Tests on GSN. He created that show and hosted it for many years. And he actually had a short but powerful presidential run in 2020 for Lead 2020. His platform was the world's best heckler needs to be beaten by a great comedian. And I thought that was a great thing. I was like, oh, that's funny. That's really great. So he's a wildly adaptive kind of guy. He's always looking for new ideas and ways to express new things. And so he came to me. He had a personal theater at his house. And once COVID hit, he can no longer tour and do his shows. And he was wondering, he's doing his Zoom stuff off his laptop at his office. And it's tough. And so he talked to me about, is there any way to convert this theater into a comedy club, a digital comedy club, and Zoom accounts, if you will. The Zoom gallery in a sort of, what would you call that? Not hexagon, I guess. What's that other one? Anyway, it's an angled sort of flat and then 2 wings at an angle. So you feel, as you stand closer to it, immersed in a Zoom gallery of audience. And so he can look over here to his right and interact with them and over here live and in front of them. And it gives you that feeling of normalcy again, that you're at a club and you're up here on stage performing. And you look over here and you say, sir, quick, are you sleeping right now, sir? And I know you're at home, but don't sleep. Or you can go over here and you can take questions and everybody can see each other. And it's actually been a very interesting experience because it's a new experience in the sense where the other audience members can look directly at the other ones and see who they're talking about. You're not looking at a bunch of back of heads. Now you're looking right at them too. And you get to see who's talking, and it's just a whole different thing. And
so you built the structure. Partners, you built the structure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Built it. It was already a converted garage, but I redesigned the interior and built and put in new lights, put in recessed lights, put in track lights, created the stage and the club that it is now. Before it was just a home theater, like kind of like a half home theater just for personal use. Now it is a professionally usable, smart key entry, smart switches, all sorts of just totally upgraded into a comedy club.
Very cool.
Yeah, pretty crazy. That was quite the undertaking. A lot of troubleshooting, definitely a fresh idea I've never heard of. But that's the future. And so along with that, I've also been doing something very similar with the Whitefire Theater. We shut down probably 9 months ago. The last time I saw you in person was the last show we did for the Whitefire Ensemble. We decided to take a hiatus. Well, since then, on Tuesdays, we've been doing an acting class, which I run the digital production side of with my camera. We film every week so that actors get on-camera training and learn what it's like to be part of the production. And recently, since then, we've been working monologues. The class has probably had 7 or 8 people in it. And we've been doing, I've written a couple monologues for some of the members, and other ones have written their own. And we've been working those things with the idea that start to finish production, we're going to write them, develop them, shoot them with a screen test, and then shoot them as a short. And recently, we accomplished our first milestone in terms of shooting them as a screen test in theater with the live camera. But what's different is I brought what I learned from the comedy club, and I said, I got an idea. And it's been a whole new experience this way. Normally, in a learning environment, all the actors, students are in the room, right? And they're staring at you, prepare. And they're just sitting there staring at you, do your job, do your training. And it's a little nerve-wracking when you're trying to perform your piece for the class because they're all just looking at you, judging, right? it's not a comfortable thing to be in, especially when you're working on confidence. You know, you're like, it's not the time to do that, right? Sometimes they're like, okay, everybody leave, everybody go outside, but then they don't learn that way. So how do we fix that? So what we did, and I brought this to Brian Rasmussen, I said, Brian, I got an idea. I want us to bring 3 or 4 of our phones, and while we do an on-set shoot, the rest of the class will be at home on Zoom, but they will still be there watching from different angles. One was above, looking down on the whole set so we could see the movement on set. One was right behind the camera with the actor behind so we could see what was changing on the camera and the actor. One was off to the side just to watch the actor prepare. And then the other one was on Brian so he could talk to the class and talk about everything we were doing. But they're still watching a working set with working troubleshooting. And those people on set aren't distracted by all the pairs of eyes that shouldn't be there. And it created this very, very special experience that I've never gotten before. And I would have very much appreciated a long time ago of being able to be a fly on the wall on a working set.
Now you're doing that now?
Yes, we just did one last night as well. We did a shoot for, and Jackie, I wrote a piece for her to play a police officer that's, because she does a lot of, she works for a company that does a lot of police, providing police for sets and stuff, like actors. This is a company that does that.
Now, is this a venue for the students, or is someone like me, the general public, going to be able to see these?
Well, right now, because it's in its baby phase, we're just keeping it within the class. It's obviously a class that anybody can get into, and you know, I think it's very affordable. I'm not going to quote a price, but it's very affordable for each month. It's you know, in the $100 range for a month, which you can't beat really. And you get this type of training. Going forward, what we will do when we do the next step is we shoot the shorts version. So we shoot a short film about these monologues, and we shoot it cinematically, if you will. That will be available to view online. And of course, the actors can post these things as much as they want and put them anywhere. It's their footage. And the whole reason is you take a lot of acting classes and you leave with nothing besides knowledge. And that's great if you know what to do with it. But if you can leave with footage for your reel, which is what every actor's after, well, now you've got something. And that's what we're trying to provide here. And it's coming out great. It's working like gangbusters. You know, the first week we shot, it was on an older camera, but now I've upgraded to the 4K.
And as an actor, you've got a practical thing to refer to in terms of what you learned in the class. Yep. Here's the end product of what I learned, so to speak. Very cool. One quick thing I want to do. I do this with all the actors that I've actually talked to, some directors as well. I do what's called a fast round. Okay. I just throw out a question, and you say the first thing that pops into your head. For example,
okay,
what is your favorite play?
True West.
Really? Why is that?
Because it's a collision of brothers, and it's the fact that family can be so different and then related, and I love it. I'm a Shepherd fan.
Okay, you'd be surprised. A lot of people said Hamilton. Anyway, what is
your great? But
no, I get you. What's your favorite feature film?
Oh my gosh, those are not quick answers. You said this was a lightning round, right? Oh my God.
What came into your head?
The Patriot.
Wow.
Mel Gibson. Love that movie. I'm a patriot of America. I love it. I love Mel Gibson despite his issues. I love that performance, and I know I love it all. So I'm a patriot. I love America. So anything about that stuff I love.
Okay. What would you say is your favorite form of how do I say this? What's your favorite form of genre? Do you prefer the comedy, the drama, the musical, and everything in between?
You know, I'll be honest, man. I think action is one of my favorites. I love action. Yeah, I just love it. I love action movies. I love how they execute it, stunts. I love it. I think it's amazing.
So what's your favorite action film?
Well, besides The Patriot, I guess that's what we
call that an action film.
Honestly, I'll tell you what. My 2 favorite action series: Mission Impossible, James Bond, all the way back to Sean Connery and the entire Mission Impossible thing with Tom Cruise. They're just so great. They execute so well.
And just when I see Mission Impossible, each one gets better than the last one. And I thought after a while Mission Impossible would get formula,
right?
But for some reason Tom Cruise has kept it fresh. So
Yeah, he evolves. You know, he listens to the critiques and he adjusts, and I think that's great.
Yeah, and as far as Bond goes, well, who's your favorite Bond?
You know, I think Daniel Craig is my favorite. He is so good. Really? Really? Oh, you're killing me.
Daniel Craig
Sean
was
Connery is the best. But
well.
an
Wait.
world.
Daniel Craig is my least favorite Bond. But my favorite Bond is the one who did it the most, which was Roger Moore. He did seven of the series.
Yeah, but he did it during the clown phase when they were just doing so much weird stuff, and it was off. But none of it was logical. I just was like,
no. If you read the books, James Bond has a very good sense of humor, and everyone else played it like I'm a professional murderer, which and Roger Moore took the angle. What he said from doing the role was, you can't take yourself seriously when every day you kill somebody. You've got to find how do you psychologically wake up in the morning every day and kill somebody and then go to bed and be okay with it every day. And he said that was the humor. Yeah. And if you read the books,
Hey, read the books over here.
Anyway, okay, that was cool. So any final words to people watching, actors, writers, directors, producers, that you might want to give them, little short words of wisdom?
Yeah, cut out the noise, fight for your dream, adapt, don't give up. I think for anybody, this COVID has shown us all is cut out the noise. You will always be told by people who wish they could do it, you can't do it. And I think that is one of the most important things to ignore. And I think it's very important to never lie to yourself and tell yourself you're not good enough. If you can remember that, you walk into the room with the 3 C's. You got character, circumstance, and commitment, confidence and commitment. You can get those 3 things down, you're going to have a very wonderful career.
Yeah,
again, Brian Rasmussen taught me, it is not a sprint, it is not a trophy. It is a marathon you enjoy the journey of. And if you can't do that, you need to think about that.
Right. And don't learn from your mistakes. Don't dwell on them. Let them.
Embrace your mistakes. You cannot get better without knowing how not to do something.
Right. Awesome. Wow. Okay, Devin, this was amazing, as I knew it would be. And I just have to say thank you. And if I didn't say it, thank you for doing this. What I found most about talking to people like yourself is I learned so much, and it's insightful. And not only that, you're great personality. You're funny. I wish I could say go see him there or go see him here. You saw his YouTube channel. Go check out the YouTubes. You can see the full versions on your own in your own time and stuff. He's a funny guy. But thank you so much for doing this, Devin. I can't say thank you enough.
No, thank you. I think you've said it more than you needed to. I'm very, very much appreciative of being here. This is great to be re-involved and to talk about the craft, especially now when we need to the most. So I'm very thankful to be on this with you, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. And you promised to watch some of my shows?
I have, and I will. I will watch more. You have my word.
Anyway, so if you don't know what I'm talking about, I do have 4 other shows. This is the Geek Authority Show. I'm Lorenzo Marchessi. I also have the Talk About Show, where I talk with friends and family about different subjects, including the closing of Disneyland, which is a great 3-part series. I also have the Unboxing the Geek Authority, where I open stuff for the first time. You see it, I see it for the very first time. So my excitement is real, and my kiddiness comes out. I also have the Geek Authority's Mysterious Chamber of Collectibles, where I actually pull out from under my bed, in my closet, under my pillows, all the stuff I've been collecting for years. So it's so much fun to look at. And there's one other show that I can't think of. Okay. I do so many, I forget how many shows. I forgot what number 5 is. Anyway, check it out. It's all on my YouTube channel. Thank you again, Devin, for showing up. It was great fun. And let's just say goodbye to everybody. Say goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. That's Devin. Wait, you're over here. Devin, where am I on your phone? I'm over there. Oh, okay.
You're right there.